I'm going to read one last section, then I'm going to go home and eat lunch. Okay. So, false flag terrorism thrives long after Bush and Cheney have gone. Another important lesson which has been imparted by the passage of time is that Bush and Cheney were not the sole bringers of terrorism, nor even the main ones. They were just puppets who served their time and have now departed, while the parade of false flag operations goes on, with new patsies and calls for more and more totalitarian measures. Neocon influence over the U.S. government was already declining rapidly in 2007, while the power of the Zbigniew Brzezinski, Joseph Nye, Samuel Huntington, Samantha Power's soft power group were expanding rapidly. Neocon covert operations tend to depend on false flag terrorist provocations, followed by direct U.S. military actions, especially bombing. Under Obama, civil wars have been unleashed in Libya, Yemen, and Syria, while Tanzania and Egypt have instead been destabilized using the characteristic National Endowment for Democracy techniques of the Color Revolution and the CIA People Power coup. False flags are only one tool in the bag of tricks of the rogue network. The next section is called Questions about the top moles. Where are they now? There is another aspect of 9/11 which cannot be hidden. This involves certain figures whom we may regard as protagonists of this false flag terror operation. Where are they now? Have they received a string of promotions? An obvious task for honest researchers is to track down the present whereabouts of the NORAD commanders, other top U.S. Air Force generals, the bosses of the Northeast Air Defense Sector, the Secretary-Chiefs of the Federal Aeronautics Administration, certain key officials of the FBI who should have put the Phoenix moratorium together with the Minneapolis warning to round up some key patsies and other suspect individuals. If such figures have been extravagantly rewarded for their failures, we will have learned something important about the structure of the rogue network. Okay, political analysis. Trump's hyper-technical antiquarianism. Mystery stories are called whodunits, not howdunnits, and with good reason. A principal failing of much 9/11 research is that it relentlessly ignores the overarching political questions that might yield knowledge of permanent values suitable for future application, especially when it comes to the fundamental task of blocking new and more dangerous false flag terror provocations or new 9/11s. While the political side is neglected, purely technical questions demonstrate this as a kind of scholasticism or hobby pursuit. Often there is an attempt to transform intrinsically political questions into technical ones. The result is a kind of hyper-technical antiquarianism which is getting farther and farther from current concerns. Without the political dimension, It is not feasible to accept once again, without the political dimensions, it is not feasible to accost an unemployed and starving man or woman on a breadline after they have been evicted from their home by foreclosure and announced to them, quote, "Let me tell you about Building 7, end quote. It's referring to Tower number 7, which is the smoking gun, and Tower number 6, too. Distortions due to Austrian ideology. Some advocates of 9/11 might call themselves libertarians, meaning in reality that they are right-wing anarchists, followers of the ultra-reactionary Austrian school of political economy typified by the charlatans von Mises and von Hayek. These activists are interested in portraying the 9/11 events as having been perpetuated by the entirety of the U.S. federal government, meaning 100% of the feds from top to bottom, presumably down to the last rural postmaster. Their interest in demonizing the federal government is to find a back door to attack and destroy the vital New Deal and Great Society economic reforms, including especially Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, unemployment insurance, WIC, I forget what that stands for, Head Start, S-CHIP, and other necessary programs. These individuals are pursuing what might be called a neo-feudalist agenda, seeking to abolish most aspects of the existing government while giving all power to the fetishized and omnipotent quote-unquote market. Far from being the interplay of anonymous and impersonal forces, they imagine this quote-unquote market has names and faces. Jamie Dimon of J.P. Morgan Chase, Moynihan of Bank of America, Pandit of Citibank, and so on. In 2007-2008, many libertarians looked to Ron Paul in hopes that he would use the televised presidential debates to reopen 9/11. Instead, Congressman Paul used one of those televised debates to denounce and repudiate the cause of 9/11 truth in the most scornful terms. Okay, I'm going to read this last paragraph, but let me just read this last paragraph. The goal of 9/11 truth activists should not be the wholesale destruction of the U.S. federal government and the smashing of the Hamiltonian New Deal state because of the crimes of a network loyal to Wall Street and London rather than the Constitution. The problem of the U.S. federal government reflects the fact that it is far too weak, not that it is too strong. A strong state would reach out and crush the bankrupt zombie banks and oil monopolies which are currently preventing economic recovery. Instead, from Bush to Obama and from Astor to Pelosi to Boehner, we see a U.S. federal government so helpless that it must act as a toady for the banks, hedge funds, big oil, and the whole array of predatory financial inches. Okay, that's all I gotta read. So, okay, that's all. That's all we got. The next section is north of the gas station, a tempest in a teapot. So that's... I'm sure the gas station they're talking about is the one closest to the Pentagon, which had all its videos seized the day of 9/11, just like all the other buildings around their hotels and whatnot. All their videos were seized because no one wanted to see what really hit the Pentagon. Because it definitely didn't have wings, because there was just a hole in the Pentagon until the roof fell in it later. No wingspan whatsoever. Okay, let me see if I have something down here. Nope. Calendar. Nope. Okay, kids, I'm going home to make lunch. Okay. See you cats later.